Hello and welcome, I'm King Zakri, and this is the top 5 features of Heart of Thorns. This is entirely my personal opinion. Notably, this means no guild halls. While a big feature for a lot of people, it is content that I probably won't ever see due to not ever wanting to join a guild. Otherwise, let's get right into it. With number 5, we have Elite Specs. Every class, including the Revenant, get a new specialization line, and not just any specialization, an elite one. Basically, you get access to a new weapon, utility, ult skills, and a passive spec line. A bittersweet twinge to this is that to use the new weapon at all, you have to spend something like 60 hero points to unlock it. But in the process, you do get a really good weapon with selectable stats for free. The utility ult skills must be unlocked as well, which is going to be a bit of a grind, one that no doubt can be frustrating. I really want to jump into the new maps with the new spec'd out Reaper, but at the moment I actually only have the new Shroud, which in itself is absolutely incredible and totally worth using, despite not having every passive. I haven't personally checked out the other classes due to not having sufficiently leveled ults, but they mostly seem pretty good. Number 4, Action Mode. Such a ginormous change to the way you play the game has actually flown a bit under the radar for some people. Essentially, this easy keybindable toggle will take away the floating mouse cursor and actually lock it to piloting your character view. It's a touch difficult to explain with words, but basically you're now playing an over-the-shoulder perspective action game. In addition to the comfortable, effortless player movement, your auto attack or skill 1 can be activated by simply left-clicking. Of course, if you want to switch back to non-action mode to manage inventory and the like, all you have to do is hit that key binding again. As a minor tip, if you play Smite, put that key binding on the Alt key. It'll feel right at home, since both of the games do basically the same thing. This mode is simply a fantastic way to play, sometimes when forced to switch to normal mode due to the rather lackluster aiming when it comes to big bosses, but general map exploration and EXP grinding is a much better experience. As a side note, I love that ArenaNet is adding features like this and continually changing the MMO genre simply because they can. Number 3, the Mastery System. Now with this new Mastery System, that post level 80 EXP isn't going to be going to waste. I'll start with the core maps functionality. Basically what you get is fairly nominal upon leveling up a reward track. Things like speed boosts in cities, fractal improvement, increased crafting EXP, and yada yada yada. The cool one, and pretty much the only one worth going for at the moment, is the ability to craft precursors. If you don't know, legendaries are these super cool super weapon effects with a variety of different particles, and it's just crazy awesomeness. They have a similar stat baseline to non-legendary, but is mostly a premium cosmetic item. The precursor is the base weapon, effectively the stat baseline, whereas a few other difficult to obtain items would otherwise contribute to the item effect, sort of. Precursors used to be pretty much a luck based drop or incredibly expensive just to buy one. Now you can simply craft it. But don't get me wrong, the other stuff in addition to the precursor is still super difficult to obtain. You just won't have to grind so much money for the rather nominal part of the weapon. In the new maps, the Maguma jungle maps like Verdant Brink, there is a separate mastery system. These masteries actually affect how you interact with the environment, but only in those maps. Most notably, the gliding system. When you jump off a cliff, you can press the spacebar to simply glide down to safety. As you level up the gliding mastery track, you get access to different perks like utilizing updrafts to go higher, go stealth, increase speed, glide forever, and other nifty little things. A cool little feature is being able to use your wings as your glider, so people who have bought the wing backpack before now get additional value, and it just looks so great. Otherwise, you have the basic glider that can be swapped cosmetically for different looking ones. Other mastery tracks allow you to shop with merchants, survive poison damage, use bouncing mushrooms, and a whole plethora of different things to unlock and try out. This system ensures that even though you don't level up past 80, there's still a reason to do events and do other things. It can be wildly frustrating at first because you want all that cool stuff now, but think of it as leveling up again in this new area except with your already kick-ass endgame character. This will also go to help silence those naysayers of Guild Wars 2 who say that there isn't any endgame content. Well, now there is. Number 2, the new Revenant class. The hyped up new class is finally here and it is awesome, but mostly because of 25% of the kit is astoundingly fantastic, while the other 75% is just okay. That 25% is Shiro, the assassin dude. In short, I felt like a powerful raid boss. I've only unlocked a few of the Revenant skills in general, but by this point I still feel like a badass. His prime skill is being able to super boost his actions and movement speed. Aside from being able to attack or use skills much faster, this also helps with map exploration. It's like a super haste for 5 seconds that quickly refills. You can spam his other skills so long as you have the energy, kinda like the thief. But also the cool thing is that that super speed haste thing synergizes with all your skills. So a common combo for me would be to press something like Z and then E, and you just like... The other 75% of his kit is the Dwarf, Ventari, Demon Dude, and the Herald specialization. They are all pretty passive supporty characters, so I don't really care that much for them. Specifically, the Dwarf has hammer skills like an aggro paladin, and the Ventari has healing skills, and the Herald has shouts and the like to buff teammates. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, the Demon Dude is a debuffer. The weapon skills are unfortunately a bit limited at the sword, axe, staff, hammer, and the much forgotten mace, but still bring a lot from each. The sword axe is probably everyone's go-to weapon. You have a dodging blink to do a lot of damage, a gap closer, aerial effect you, and another whatever ability. The hammer brings CC and the staff healing. The Revenant isn't going to turn tides and convert people around the world, but it's good enough to warrant another level 1 to 80 playthrough. Honorable mentions. Essentially, these are all minor features for me, but could be major for others. I'll start with the guild halls. It's been mentioned before, but I don't plan on joining any guilds, so this is sausage to me. But for others, this is a great way to interact with friends, doing things like fighting in arena, putting up decorations, and just as a general hangout. The new World v World Borderlands map, while nifty, doesn't replace Edge of the Mist, so it won't be seen a whole lot by me. Most people, myself included, simply go to the edge of the map so you can see some action and not just stand around with 6 other people. I think the new player versus player stronghold game mode is sitting on the line between player versus player and world versus world, but doesn't do either of them especially well. Also, really doesn't help that I dislike Guild Wars 2 PvP. For the most part, it just feels so witch skilly, but very little strategy. Raiding, I don't believe has been released yet, but it's pretty much Fractals of the Mist or dungeons, but much more difficult, and I think more players. It seems kind of cool, but I don't like the super difficult content, so I'll probably jump in a few every now and then, but not really stick around. This will help quench people's thirst for difficult endgame content. Number 1, the biggest reason to buy Heart of Thorns, and that is the new player versus enemy maps. This is probably the biggest draw across the board, with myself included. New maps. Not just any maps either. These are entire zones that are super complicated and filled to the freaking brim with content. The whole area, the whole area is actually like 4 different zones, are all so incredibly dense. Multiple tiered levels with tons of events, hero points, mini games, and whatever else. Of course, the mastery points listed before take effect here. Of the most note, of course, is being able to glide just about anywhere. It's amazing to be able to jump off a cliff and head to a completely separate part of the map just because I can. The mobility in general is fantastic. I actually feel like I've become a master of the jungle. Events are in great number and varied with different objectives and bosses each time. My complaint here is that I feel they are a touch too difficult for people just wanting to sightsee. But on the other hand, it's nice to have semi-difficult regular PvE content. Now enemies also inhabit the jungle like dragons to T-Rex inspired monsters. People have said that they get a Monster Hunter vibe, and I would totally agree. Along with the new enemies are NPCs, the frog people. I feel that they're kind of lackluster in general, but whatever, it's not that big a deal. I'm actually going to throw the story in here as well. There's a new quest line taking place entirely in the new maps. With it, new cutscenes, dialogues, problems, items, and whatever. The writing and general progression is still pretty weak, but at the very least it's relatively cinematic and adventurous. Unfortunately, it is pretty buggy. On multiple occasions, story missions become completely unfinishable or even unstartable. ArenaNet has been on the ball to release new patches, but it's still frustrating to have these kind of major problems with such a core part of the expansion. Overall though, I love the new maps and everything it has in store. That is it for the top 5 features coming with Heart of Thorns. Is there something I missed? Do you have a great idea for another list? Let us know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.